We have seen an increase of the level of debt for understandable reasons. Because of the pandemic, governments had to step up to help their people, to help their businesses. And on top of it, with inflation running still high and interest rates being high, that burden of debt has become heavier. We just issued our report, it's 100% of GDP is the debt level. More importantly, it is distributed across countries in a way that makes some particularly vulnerable. We have currently about 15% of low-income countries already at debt distress, and 40% near that distress. When we look at the emerging market economies, a quarter of them are at the level when the cost of debt is so high that it becomes practically impossible for them to service it. So action is paramount. We have had a very important breakthrough during these spring meetings, creating the Global Sovereign Debt Roundtable that brings for the first time traditional creditors, new creditors, public, private, and the debtor countries, together with the IMF, the World Bank, and the G20 presidency. So we sit around the same table and we discuss what can be done to make debt restructuring more predictable, timelier, and for the countries that need it, a resolution in earnest of the problems they have. We also have seen progress under the common framework, Chad, but then Zambia, Ethiopia, Ghana, these are countries that have asked for treatment. I am hopeful after the discussions during this week that we would see resolution in a more expeditious manner that we have had before. But let me just say, for the debt landscape today, to take action is more difficult because there are many more creditors, and having them to coalesce around a debt restructuring process is harder. This is why this debt roundtable is so important.
حكي كثيرا على هامش هذه الاجتماعات عن الاختلافات في الآراء لا سيما بين الصين والولايات المتحدة حول كيفية إعادة هيكلة هذه الديون للدول النامية والناشئة بشكل خاص، حيث كانت تطالب الصين بمشاركة أكبر للبنوك متعددة الأطراف، وهو ما تعارضه الولايات المتحدة. هل توصلتم أو أحرزتم أي تقدم فيما يتعلق بذلك؟
We have made very significant progress. We have addressed three issues. This is the first one. China initially expressed the view that multilateral development banks need to take a haircut. They cannot do that. Why they cannot do it? Because if they do it, then they would lose their triple rating. And if they do lose this rating, they cannot raise money cheaply for developing countries. That defeats the purpose of existence of these banks. China now understands that this is not a viable pathway, and what they are asking for, and the World Bank explained that yes, this is possible, is for development banks to participate with new concessional and grant financing for countries that are undergoing debt restructuring. That is already happening in the case of Zambia, for example. The World Bank is coming with very significant concessional financing to make the resolution of the debt issues in Zambia much more effective and faster. We also made progress on two other issues: information sharing. China, but also others, would turn to us, the IMF and the World Bank, and say, your debt sustainability analysis comes very late. As creditors, we need to know, because then we can plan and prepare and discuss and come up with to the negotiating process with full knowledge. So now we are working on bringing early information to all creditors so they can be better informed. And the third issue we made progress is on comparability of treatment. We don't have an answer yet, but we have a process. There would be a seminar in a couple of weeks. Why is this important? Because if creditors are not convinced that they're treated fairly, they drag their feet in the process. We have to create an environment for faster decision making.
سيدة كريستالينا، أيضا كان هناك تركيز على موضوع التحديات التي واجهها القطاع المصرفي في مارس، وعلى الرغم من التدخل السريع للسلطات، ولكن رغم ذلك هل ترين أن هناك احتمالية لأن نرى تعثرات مشابهة في الفترة المقبلة؟ وإلى أي مدى برأيك يجب تغيير الأنظمة القائمة لحماية القطاع المصرفي والقطاع المالي؟
We have seen some vulnerabilities exposed, and we shouldn't be surprised about it. Why? Because we have gone through a period of time of very low interest rates, ample liquidity, to quite suddenly moving to high interest rates and limited liquidity. Of course, in this environment, mismatches that have been built on the expectation that interest rates would stay low forever, these mismatches popped up, and there was a need for action. Good news, action was taken swiftly. The world, since the global financial crisis, did build much stronger crisis management capability. And also the banking system is much stronger. Should we prepare for some more of these vulnerabilities? Well, we have to be watchful, we have to be vigilant, because interest rates are high and they are likely to stay higher for some time, because while inflation is starting to go down, core inflation is sticky, and central banks have to do their job to bring price stability. And I want to convey to those who watch and listen, why is this important? Because if there is no price stability, we weaken the foundation for growth. Investors don't want to invest if they don't know what is going to be happening to their money. So the job of central bankers is critical for the well-being of people ultimately.
هل ترين أن البيئة الاقتصادية الحالية في ظل ارتفاع أسعار الفائدة، تقلبات أسواق السندات، ارتفاع التضخم، عوامل قد تؤدي إلى ركود أقوى مما كان متوقعا سابقا؟
Well, actually, we have shown remarkable resilience. In October, during our annual meetings, we were worried that there could be a hard landing because of interest rates going up. What we see is consumer spending is still high, labor markets are tight. Would there be some weakening? Inevitably. Interest rates will have an impact. They're already having some impact on real estate, on consumer borrowing. Are we worried about recession? At this point, we still think that this narrow path to soft landing is the one we are walking on. And the good thing about these meetings is that it brings people together so we can hold hands as we walk on this narrow path and avoid a recession.
أخيراً لنتكلم قليلاً عن تونس، هل تم إحراز أي تقدم في المحادثات مع الوفد التونسي بشأن القرض الذي تم الاتفاق عليه في أكتوبر الماضي ب$1,900,000,000، خاصة بعد تصريحات الرئيس التونسي الذي أشار فيها إلى أنه يرفض أو لا يقبل الشروط التي وضعها الصندوق للحصول على القرض؟
The discussions continue. It is very important that the country owns the program. It is not our program. Ultimately, it is Tunisia's program. But we have a duty to the Tunisian people that this program is credible, that it actually can lead to stabilization in the country. I expect that we will conclude, we will find a way to narrow down our differences. We have been successful to bring support from the friends of Tunisia, so we have financial assurances for the program. And it is now a matter of both sides, the fund and Tunisia, to identify where is the place where the program is credible. The fund staff can say that to our board of directors, and Tunisia can implement it. And let's aim to get that done. I have been so hopeful that by the time we talk now, the Tunisia program would be already done. I remain hopeful that we can close the difference in views. And you know, my message to the Tunisian authorities is what we mean well for you. We do not want you to have a program that is going to unravel and undermine the stability of the country. It is with that in mind we are asking to please take this one remaining step to tighten it up so we can take it to our board.